right, we're the huge movie fanatics coming at you. And no, this, that was the DTS logo that if you were lucky enough, I think most people did see it that way when it first came out in the theater. That was the first DTS logo, and I still think it's the best one actually, where it's like, the disc comes in and then I'm explaining it to him because he didn't just see what you just saw, because he's just sitting here outside. But that's a really cool logo, and I know that everyone is just like, this is the first like DTS movie I think that was made. I think the first digital sound movie that came out was Dick Tracy, but it wasn't officially like I don't know if it was multi-channel, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's the first digital sound movie that came out in the theater. But this is the first digital movie that was just like, okay, this sound is the shit, and it just blew everyone away. And the thing about Jurassic Park was, not only did the sound blow everyone away, but the dinosaurs blew everyone away. So this movie has two kind of technological, my list is going to blow away, technological, one sec. Oh, good. Leaf blower. So this movie has two technological marvels to it. When I initially saw it, I didn't know Spielberg did it until it says directed by Steven Spielberg, and then I was like, oh. This is one of those perfect movies where I think Iron Man 3 and Batman Returns are not perfect summer movies in the sense that they take place during Christmas and all this snowy shit. I think Jurassic Park, for me, it's a perfect summer movie because of its just tropical environment, rain, storms, tropic warmth. I like summer movies, not all the time, but I mean, for me, if a summer movie, it's kind of like Battleship, that took place in wherever it did. Where did it take place? I don't know.
I don't remember.
Hawaii or something like that. Don't you watch it every week?
I stay clear.
So, but like that kind of, or Waterworld is a good example of like a summer movie. Well, he doesn't anyway, because I'm like a water person in the summer. But whatever, I like to be. It's a perfect summer movie. I'm going to move on now. I think I've already said that. So, and yeah, I mean, as a kid, I was like, whoa, that's cool. I'm running dry. Take it from there.
This is an easy 4-star movie for me. This is one of my all-time favorite movies, and one that I've loved ever since I was a wee little kid, seeing it back in the theater when it came out. And the thing that holds up with it is, man, those special effects hold up like none other.
See, that's where I argue that visual effects, although they have improved. I mean, if you really look at Jurassic Park, I mean,
there are a couple shots that hold up,
but like the T-Rex, I think some of the raptors look like shit in the kitchen or whatever. But yeah, continue.
Like the CG holds up in that movie like crazy, and like the dinosaurs, man, they just look so real. Even the mechanical ones, everything just feels so real. It's hard for you to imagine that the Triceratops that Grant is leaning on and listening to it breathe,
smiling.
It's hard for you to imagine that isn't real, and that was just all mechanics and wiring and stuff like that. Everything in this movie is done so right. But it's not just the dinosaurs that work. The human characters, I thought, are fantastic. You totally love Alan Grant, and like Ian Malcolm is just the pimp. And I love the shot where his shirt's all bare and torn open, and he looks like a god. Like, that's just the best shot ever. Spielberg is a genius. But John Hammond, Ellie Sattler, I love her. Laura Dern just is great in the movie, and like both of the kids are fantastic. Sam Jackson, back before he was the Sam Jackson.
A year before,
yeah. A year before the Pulp Fiction came out. But
The Pulp Fiction.
The Pulp Fiction.
That's just going to be the sequel.
Yes. That's how they do them now. The Final Destination. Anyway, so Jurassic Park, I mean, easy 4 stars. There's this really funny channel here on YouTube called, I think, Screen Gems, where they go through and they recut trailers to show you what the movie actually is honestly, and they're called honest trailers. And I just watched the honest trailers for Jurassic Park yesterday, and it was really funny because they're like, look at all this CGI that is held up after 20 years. And all of this other technology that hasn't. And it shows like all the computers in the movie. Yeah.
Just touch this part of the screen.
Yeah, all the rest
of
of
the
the
unit system. I know this.
Like,
what's a unit system?
all of that stuff is completely dated. But the CG looks really good still. But if you haven't seen those videos, check them out. They are really quite funny. Man, I can't talk about how many great scenes there are in this. For me, my favorite scene in the movie isn't with the dinosaurs at all. It's when they're having lunch and discussing.
Yeah, that's great. I'm totally with Ian Malcolm.
With the
totally
ethics
right.
of whether or not you should do something like this just because you can. And man, oh fucking god, that is the best scene in the movie. It gives me chills every time I watch it. I love that scene.
Well, you also got chills because
I get
of the
chills
weather.
because
it looks really nice, but we're kind of cold. But we're out here for you guys, so you have a nice view.
Exactly.
So you can't hear us with the wind blowing.
Yes.
But you're right, Ian. I'm totally with Ian Malcolm there.
Yeah.
Also, the scene before where it's like, so how do you know they can't breathe?
Yeah.
Well, I hate that Asian guy. It's really not that difficult. We just take out their enzymes.
Yeah. You just and he's like disrupt the chromosome equation or something like that.
And he's like, John, the type of control you're attempting here is not possible. If one thing the history of evolution has taught us that life it evolves, it expands through territories, it breaks through new boundaries, even dangerously. But so there it is.
Yeah. There it is. Yeah, that scene. Oh god.
But that's just the overture to the next great scene, which you like.
Yeah.
Which I do too. I'm totally with him, and he's completely right. And what's great is that he ends up being right, and he even says, "I hate to be right all the time." The comedy in this movie is great. It is actually funnier than a lot of comedies, standalone comedies, and the comedy holds up like fucking great, and that's a big pile of shit.
I'm a fan of Peter Jackson. Peter Jackson's great, but he has the need to put comedy in his movies, and his comedy doesn't always work. Sometimes it does. Frighteners, I thought, is quite a good movie.
Like it didn't in
The Hobbit, all the Lord of the Rings movies really.
It's kind of like that scene on King Kong where the guy looks he sees that thing on his poster, and he looks in puts a comb or something like that in the mirror, and it goes like that, and there wasn't a single laugh in the sometimes Peter Jackson's funny, not to sell him short. Like he does have good humor and whatnot, but Spielberg really just knows how to like make the comedy fly, and not in just this movie and other movies like E.T., Jaws, various other movies where there's comedy elements. But this one has a lot more comedy than he's usually puts into his movies. Well, the character of Malcolm is just great.
Oh, he's
if he wasn't there, I mean,
he would be on my list of one of the best character creations of the 20th century. Like of the greatest characters to come out of the 20th century, he's easily one of them. Both in the book, 2 books, and in the I guess 2 movies. But his characterization, particularly in this one, is just pitch perfect, and Jeff Goldblum knocks it out of the friggin' park. He is so good in the movie. And,
yes.
Yeah. I do know stars for you.
Yeah, probably 3.5. I have a problem with some scenes. I think some scenes are sloppily done. Yeah, I think Spielberg must have been, I don't know, thinking about Schindler's List at the same time. It seems to me he was making this and prepping Schindler's List.
He left 2 weeks early to start making Schindler's List, and George Lucas is uncredited director for the last 2 weeks of shooting in
then I probably
Costa Rica.
know which scenes they were. The scenes that I think are so stupid is when the scene where the dinosaur, where they're doing it's a unit system, and she's trying to find the goddamn kid's there, and it's like the kid, instead of just jumping up and down and holding his hair, could like give one of them the gun, you know? It's just, it pisses me off. And also the sloppiness of like, they're coming through the glass, and it's like, you just hear the bullet shots on the phone, he's like, no! And then the next thing we cut to is like the shotgun with the shell, I don't know if it was supposed to have been jammed or done, spent, and they like run over, they have a shot of someone running over the shot. It just seems so, that just little part just seems so shitty. And also there's another really
I disagree. I like that scene. It's built a lot of suspense.
No, I mean that one shot of like running over the gun. It's
Yeah.
just, it's really lame. And also another lame scene is the bit in the, sorry, there's wind. Hello, you can still hear me. The scene in the kitchen or whatever. The part where he runs towards the freezer and the kid's limping. Well, these raptors can go, what, 50 miles an hour? And it's just lumping behind this limping kid. It's like, you're not really that hungry, are you? But it's really sloppy when the kid goes in there and then the raptor goes in there. And it's just like...
sliding around.
Yeah, it's just the cutting of that particular, in the shots. Lucas must have did that because it looked
No, he was
horrible.
shooting on in the Costa Rica stuff.
Oh.
He was out on the island for that stuff.
Anyway, there's some scenes that are just sloppy for me, and I have kind of a problem with having I'd say the main scene being it's fine, but it's just my personal problem with the T-Rex scene being like mid-movie or not at the end. And the end is just kind of, I think it was even less of a climax than they even made it, because originally the T-Rex wasn't involved in like...
No, Grant somehow killed both of them. He got he got the T-Rex bones to collapse on one and stabbing one of them, and then he somehow, I think he got the other one into the jaws of the fake T-Rex, and that was supposed to come down and close on and kill it. In the storyboards on the making of feature.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember seeing something like that.
And I think this ending is much better. It's completely illogical. Like, Spielberg uses his Spielberg logic to close up his movies, where it's like, you're with the movie for 2 hours. It doesn't matter what happens in the final 5 minutes, because the audience, if you have them for 2 hours, they'll be there with you for the final 5 minutes. He does this in Jaws with the exploding shark. He does this in a lot of movies, but none more so than here, where the T-Rex, as established throughout the entire movie, makes like earth tremors every time he walks. Somehow he gets into a building with a door that has been established as being just like human size, regular door size, 7 feet. Somehow he gets in without nobody like noticing or calling attention, and then is able to walk up and bite the raptors. I don't necessarily think it's sloppy. I think it's just like, he wanted a big dynamic ending that wowed people, and that scene is remembered by everybody who sees the movie. And that's the iconic shot. If you were to give Jurassic Park an iconic shot, it's the T-Rex roaring with the "When Dinosaurs Ruled the Earth" ribbon that falls. And so, as illogical as it is, it gets a pass because it is so entertaining, and that's what the movie was perfectly designed for.
Right on. Briefly, 3D.
3D looked amazing. Did you see it in 3D?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed by. It looked, well, mine I think was out of focus. I mean, a little bit out of focus.
Oh, that's
and also the dark. Did I spit on you? Sorry.
No.
The dark stuff, like the very beginning, was like dark as all shit. You know, the very beginning.
Ours wasn't at all.
Mine was.
Oh, we went to the AMC theater and we saw it in the IMAX 3D, and
mine was dark. Like the dark shit was dark.
It wasn't even as dark as Evil Dead was. Like, I saw it in the same night, and like it was perfectly well lit. I couldn't tell a difference between the DVD, which I actually went home and watched again because I was like, boy, that was entertaining. I'm gonna watch again.
So you went home and watched.
Yeah, and it didn't look any different than my Blu-ray copy at home. The 3D was great. It worked every step of the way. It was the best use of 3D I have ever seen. More so even than Oz. Avatar blows everything out of the water. I even liked the 3D conversion of Star Wars last year, Episode 1.
Which now they put on the goddamn back burners because of the fucking...
I know, I hate that.
Anyway, that's another thing.
Anyway, but Jurassic Park, the only thing is like, this one was a huge success. Will they put 2 and 3 out in 3D? I don't think the audience will be...
Oh, you mean, I think that the expectations of people seeing it were more than... I was just cracking my knee and you looked down at my legs thinking, what are you doing? But you mean that it did better business than they thought?
Yeah, like it
do you know what it did?
I can't remember. It surpassed Star Wars and it surpassed The Lion King, which Lion King previously had been the highest. And so it sort of, I think it came as a surprise at how well it did and how long it lingered. It was only planned, I believe, for like 2 weeks, and it stayed
Yeah,
for a full month.
because the Blu-ray, the 3D Blu-ray came out 3
Yeah.
weeks or something after the.
Yeah, and you can still, as of last week, you could still see it in a theater. I haven't checked this week, but like if you haven't seen it yet, go and do so. It looks great. I would like to see the second one in the theater, only for the we'll discuss this next, but for the trailer hanging over the edge thing where she's on the glass, like, oh, that 3D would look amazing. Anyway, so the 3D here looked great. I loved it every step of the way. Man, it was awesome, and the 3D actually added to some of the scenes, specifically that when they're racing down the tree, and they're in the vents and the raptor's jumping up to bite Lex. That actually worked really well. So.
Isn't it something like at the beginning with them leaves? I mean, how do you fucking, cut out the leaves and tell the computer,
Yeah.
How do you isolate each leaf? Isn't that something?
It's so impressive.
Isn't something what they can do now?
Yeah, it's so impressive. So I loved it, and just rekindled my spirit of film love and all that stuff, because this year the movies have been rather lackluster, even in comparison to last year.
Or 20 years ago.
I
mean, you went and saw a 20-year-old movie in the theater and just.
That's the best
had to
movie I've
watch-
seen so far.
How do you like that? That's what I think too about movies. So what was I gonna say? I forgot. What do you think?
Jurassic Park, amazing.
3D.
3D.
Oh,
amazing.
yeah, Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park
3D looked amazing. 4 stars.
3.5. Got some sloppy parts. Thanks for watching.